Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, very good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me.
You're very welcome. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so to get started, can you share a little bit about your role at Sage?
Sure, absolutely. So I have recently started a new role actually, and I'm Chief of Staff to our CPO, Amanda Cusdin, and I'm also VP of Org Design and Workplace Futures. And I think I really love this role. I'm 2 months in role already, because it provides a diverse landscape. It keeps me busy, and it affords me an opportunity to work as Amanda's kind of right hand. We're supported in the CPO office by Jane and Karen, and they do a lot of the kind of operational execution. And that allows me to really support Amanda and make sure that she's focusing on those strategic priority areas across the people and transformation space, but also kind of across the whole of Sage. My other two accountabilities link to org design and future workplace. So on org design, I previously worked in our transformation space, and in the org design part of my role, it's quite linked to that still. So it's making sure that, do we have the right structure at Sage as a business? Are we kind of operating intentional org design? And by that, I mean making kind of purposeful choices and driving org design and structure that delivers the intended performance outcomes. And are we also kind of keeping a radar of what's happening both internally and externally, and are we able to kind of adapt beneficially to that, and do we have the capabilities within the business to adapt to that? So it's a really interesting space, and there's lots of new things on the horizon all the time, so I'm really enjoying that part. And the final part of my role is called the kind of future of work, and ultimately that's rooted in our purpose, and it's all about creating a future workplace that enables each individual to thrive. And the first part that I'm looking at in this role is around our future ways of working. So enabling people to thrive at a place and time in which they choose. And that's going really well. I'm learning every day. I think every role I've ever had at Sage and previously, it had such opportunity to learn, and that's what really attracts me to the role. I think as well, in the present climate, the workplace has become so different, and this will kind of, the pace of change will increase. And so kind of as I create that future workplace, it's so exciting because I get to think about what is the talent that we have today and how can we support and enable that talent to transition as kind of the needs of the business transition. And I think as well, what I really like about this role is, for me, my personal life and my professional life are kind of in one. Those blur boundaries have definitely been around for me for many years. And I feel like I'm kind of achieving a purpose, both at that Sage organizational level, but kind of on a personal level. I think it's so important that we enable everyone to thrive. And for me, kind of creating that inclusive workplace where everyone can thrive is really something that motivates me and gets me out of bed every day. So that's what I do. I feel very fortunate for the role that I have at Sage.
Absolutely. Well, we're fortunate to have you on board. And you just chatted about a number of really deeply important and impactful aspects of the business, and especially during an ever-evolving business landscape. So taking all of that into consideration, what would you say is the best part of your job?
That is a hard question. In terms of the best part about my job, so no one day is the same. It's very interesting. I think I'm continuously learning about new dynamics, adjusting to that, dynamics internally and externally. I'm naturally curious and I love to learn. So this role affords me an opportunity to learn and kind of craft and design a new future workplace vision. So that's really exciting. I think I also am really fortunate to work for an incredible female leader, Amanda Cusdin, our CPO. She provides such a safe space where I feel I can experiment, I can learn and ask all the stupid questions. I can also fail, but learn from those failures. And I think it's so important that any leader, and I'd like to hope that I create that space for my teams, that we create those safe spaces where people can experiment, they can test the boundaries, they feel it as they belong, and they can ask all the questions. And I also kind of like the way my role, I really feel like I can make a difference in the organization and to everyone at Sage. And it gives me ultimately that platform to develop and to grow. And yeah, so I think there's some of the interesting parts of my role.
Absolutely. And you mentioned working really closely with some of our key leaders. So diving in there, how would you personally describe your own leadership style? And can you share a little bit about maybe what has shaped that?
Sure, absolutely. So what I would say is I'm definitely still developing my leadership style. I think as a leader, everyone needs to always kind of reflect and take on new learning. So I'd hope that every leader, no matter where you are, you're always thinking about what you can do even better and how you can kind of flex and improve that style. But for me, how I'd kind of describe my style is around being open, honest, transparent. So I like to encourage kind of open dialogue and challenge across my team. And you'll always know what I'm thinking because I tend to say it, good or bad. I really care. I bring that passion and that caring to everything I do personally and professionally. I'd like to think I was an inclusive leader. I try to challenge kind of those internal biases that we sometimes hold and need to overcome. I welcome diversity in all its forms. And I try to create that safe space that I mentioned for my team to ensure that they can kind of contribute and they feel they belong. I think it's really important that a leader kind of owns their own accountability. And so that's something that's really important to me. And that's what I try to do day in, day out, is really own my accountability. And again, I think a leader needs to listen. And I think sometimes that's definitely underestimated in today's kind of organizational context. And I think, you know, particularly in crafting the future of work, that won't be of benefit to anyone if I don't truly listen to what our colleagues, what our communities are telling us, and indeed what our customers are telling us. Creating reflective time as well. Leaders need time to think. If you're always doing, there's something wrong. And then I think finally, a couple more points actually, I think that learning mindset. So ensuring you're always staying curious, challenging yourself, having fun. And I think praising the team and recognizing kind of people's contribution. I think a thank you goes a long way. And a bit about who have been kind of great leaders that I've worked for. Again, I've been very fortunate because before working for Amanda, our CPO, I worked for our CEO, Steve Hare. And again, he created that safe space, encouraged kind of my experimentation. Any failures, I failed fast and learned from them, but it was a safe space, and that was absolutely brilliant. And I think at Sage, I'd like to think that all our leaders kind of encourage development, and that's super important going forward.
Definitely, it really is. And you touched on a few leaders that have really poured into you, and you're pouring into others. So during all of this, when you're in a mentorship and a leadership role, is there a woman, either professionally or personally, who has inspired you and really has driven you and championed for you?
Yeah, so this one's it's close to home. So actually my mom is my absolute role model, both professionally and personally. I think I grew up in what was a very loving and caring family. And from an early age, we were kind of taught to have confidence and to go after anything, no matter what your gender or age. So education was really important, as was kind of curiosity. And we were really nurtured and encouraged to kind of pursue any of the varied interests that children would like to pursue these days, be they Gaelic football or Irish dancing. I kind of went for it all at any point in time. My mum also worked full time outside the home. She completed a master's, a doctorate, working full time and being a full time mum. So that sense of kind of hard work, determination, and seeking to always give of your best self in any given situation, she really kind of instilled in me. I think it's really important that for any human being, in order to thrive, that they keep setting goals and keep pursuing goals. And I really saw my mom do that all throughout my life. And I'd like to think it's something that I have kind of ingrained in me. On a personal level, I guess life hasn't always been easy for my mom. She battled cancer herself. She kind of positively took on my dad's sudden loss, and throughout it all, she showed courage, she showed positivity, and she was just really comfortable talking about emotion and her journey with grief and everything throughout the ages. And so I think what that has brought for me is a real kind of empathy. I think all leaders need to have empathy in your kind of personal and professional life. So when you're dealing with teams, they need to feel comfortable and being able to talk to you about both personal and professional challenges at that emotional level. And I think that's something I really, really learned from my mom. And she definitely instilled in all of us. Also the final point, and I think this is quite linked to, I guess, females in leadership, confidence. So my mom was confident when she was out there, but she did have moments of doubt, and she continued to battle this and to set those challenges for herself. And that's something that I definitely have. Although I might come across quite like confident, I do have those kind of imposter syndrome moments. And she really taught me, you know, just like get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is really a motto that I kind of hold really close to my heart today, and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
She sounds like a shining example of inspiration.
Yeah, she was good. I feel very fortunate. I mean, there's so many other leaders and role models that I have in my life, but I think my mom is number one up there, definitely.
I can see why. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was incredibly inspiring and so deeply personal, and I really appreciate being privileged enough to hear that. So thank you so much for sharing this and spending a few minutes of your day with me.
Great. Thank you so much. It was lovely to chat to you.
Likewise. Bye-bye.